Okay, if you don't already have it, pause the video right now and get your periodic table because you're going to need it for this. On your periodic table, I want you to write down these trends. You can actually write this on your paper copy of the periodic table. So pause it again right now and copy this information onto your periodic table, and we will talk about what it means when you're done doing that. Okay, so something that I want you to notice, looking at your periodic table, as you move from left to right across the periodic table, the outer energy levels, so remember the floors of the building that we talked about, become more and more full until you reach the noble gases. And this is going to explain why the noble gases are what they are. Everybody on the periodic table, all of the elements on the periodic table want to be just like the noble gases because the noble gases have what are known as 8 valence electrons. Okay? All elements have valence electrons, but the noble gases have 8, and that is a magic number. Everybody wants 8. So if you take a look at the electron configuration for sodium and argon, okay, sodium is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1, all right, whereas argon is 3s2, 3p6 on the end. So let's look at the periodic table, okay, and look at our two elements again. Here's sodium, and its electron configuration ends in 3s1. So that means that its valence electrons, how many valence electrons it has, is 1, because the highest energy level, that's valence. Okay? Here we have argon, which ends in 3s2, 3p6. So that means that we've gone all the way across the third row and we've completely filled up each of the energy levels totally. So in the third energy level, we have 8 valence electrons. Okay, that's the symbol for valence electron, Ve minus. E minus being electron. So you can see here 6 plus 2 makes 8 valence electrons. All of these elements over here end in the same kind of idea. This is 4s2, 4p6. That's what krypton ends in. Xenon ends in 5s2, 5p6. So again, their outermost energy level is full with 8 valence electrons, whereas potassium would end in 4s1. So it only has 1 valence electron. So as a result of this, okay, trends in the period, that's one of the trends in the periodic table, but there are many trends in the periodic table that start to occur as a result of the fact that electrons on the left have 1 valence electron. Moving over, we add 1 each time until you get to the right hand side where they're the noble gases and they're full with 8 valence electrons. So again, you can see it here in this diagram over on the left. So lithium ends in 2s1, neon ends in 2s2, 2p6. It has a full set of electrons. 8 valence electrons is a full set, which is what you want. So the 3 trends that you copied onto your periodic table, you have them, but you have to be able to explain what they are and understand them. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So atomic radius. A radius is simply how big the atom is, right? So a radius is the distance from the center to the outermost edge of a circle. It's the same with the atom. It's from the nucleus, which is in the middle, to the outermost electrons, all right? That would be the radius of the atom. And you can see in the diagram that as you go down the periodic table, atomic radius increases. They get bigger and bigger. As you move from left to right across the periodic table, they get smaller and smaller. Well, the explanation for this is actually pretty logical if you think about it. So in the first row, or let's look at the second row, lithium, starting with lithium. As you go across the row from lithium, the number of energy levels is staying the same. It's the second energy level all the way across, being that it's in the second row. So every time you step to the right, you're adding 1 more electron and 1 more proton to the atom. So since protons are positive and electrons are negative, they attract each other. So if every time I step to the right, I'm adding more protons and more electrons, I'm attracted more and more to the center of the atom. The nucleus is pulling those electrons in. Positive nucleus, negative electrons. Every time you step to the right, tighter, tighter, tighter. That's why they get smaller. Whereas if you're going down the periodic table, that number of energy levels is being added on. Remember, it's like the floors of the building. We're adding a floor every time we step down one level on the periodic table, so the atoms get bigger and bigger and bigger because we're adding more and more room for those electrons to be inside the atom. Okay. So at the bottom of the periodic table, you have the largest number of energy levels. So you're at the 7th row. That's 7 energy levels, with all which are holding electrons. So the next trend is ionization energy. First, you have to figure out what is ionization energy. So it's the energy required to remove an electron to form an ion. All right. As you go from left to right, ionization energy increases. Okay. In order to form an ion, we have to give up electrons or gain them. If you're giving up electrons, some elements are much more likely to give up electrons, whereas other elements really want more electrons. They don't want to give up any of them. Okay, so you can see in this diagram right here, they're showing with the taller bars that they have very high ionization energy. That means they really want to hold on to their electrons. And if you think about it, it makes sense. Fluorine's electron configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p5. This is really important right here. Look, this is 7 valence electrons. How many does everybody want? 8, right? So it's 1 away from having 8. If it could just gain 1 more, then it would have 8 valence electrons. So do you think that fluorine wants to give up any electrons? Absolutely not. In fact, it wants to gain them. So its ionization energy is very high, because ionization energy is the energy required to pull off an electron. You ain't going to pull no electrons away from fluorine. It wants to hold on to them. Okay, so watch out. Cesium, on the other hand, down here, has very low ionization energy. So does lithium. And that's because, again, if we look at our electron configuration, so let's do the electron configuration for, let's do potassium. Okay, potassium's way over on the left. So potassium is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s1. All right. So again, here's our highest energy level. We have 1 valence electron. So don't you think that potassium really would like to give up that 1 valence electron? Because look, if we get rid of it, then we have 3s2, 3p6, which means potassium then would have 8 valence electrons, and it would be happy like the noble gases. Okay. So ionization energy is very high on the right, because it's very difficult to pull off those electrons, whereas it's very easy over on the left and down towards the bottom, because as you move down the periodic table, you're adding more and more energy levels. They're further and further from the nucleus, and the nucleus is what's holding on to the electrons. If you're far away, it's much easier to pull those off. Okay? And so the ionization energy would be low. The last one is electronegativity, which is the tendency for an atom to attract electrons when it combines with another atom. You just need to remember that fluorine is the most electronegative element and cesium is the least electronegative element. So electronegativity in plain English is how badly does the atom want electrons? As it's kind of the same as before. Fluorine really wants electrons. Look. Fluorine is 1 electron away from having 8. Okay, right here. Fluorine is 1 electron away from having 8, so it really wants electrons. So its electronegativity is the most. It's very high. Cesium, on the other hand, is very low. In fact, it wants to give up electrons. It doesn't want any more electrons at all. Please, don't give me any more. In fact, take one of mine. Okay, that's what cesium is saying. So its electronegativity is very low. The type of questions you're going to get asked are, which element has greater electronegativity? Nitrogen or magnesium? So you would look at the periodic table, see that nitrogen is closer to fluorine. You know that fluorine is the most electronegative element, so nitrogen would have higher electronegativity than something that's much further away from fluorine. Okay, so that's your final trend in the periodic table. Up next, we are going to kaboom! Look at nuclear chemistry.